Cloaca, that's what it's called. It's vaginal, but only in so much as it's an opening. Most male birds have the very same thing, and it only takes a moment or two to pass all of the important stuff through from bird to bird. What else did she teach you, she wanted to ask, but then she reminded herself that she really didn't want to know. So many things we really don't want to think about in this world, she thought, such as our lover having had a lover before us, such as a mother quail bird returning to her emptied nest, peering under twigs and leaves and bits of grass for what she knew she had just left in there, such as the fact that every month Hillary carried fewer potentials inside of her, such as the fact that she sometimes felt panicked over this, ever since 9 months before, when it just so happened that the important stuff had passed through Thomas to Hillary, but then the decision was made to end it there. Thomas laughed at her now, because her water was phlegmy, and she hadn't even cooked her fish cakes. And by the decision was made, she meant they had decided. They were still new to each other back then. She wouldn't have dared pass gas in his presence yet. But now, to Hillary, that reason felt somewhat flimsy. Life should not be based on flatus or anything else that is passing and unseen, like fear, uncertainty. In these things is where all the magic lives. Hillary waved away the shabby waitress who held a pot of water above her bin. "I want it phlegmy," Hillary said to her. The waitress looked confused. "I want it thick. I'm making myself a big, fat, ugly soup." The waitress shrugged and walked away. Under his breath, Thomas spewed a string of expletives and then laughed again. Hillary knew he was referencing a joke she had once made some time before, just after she had cooked for him some vichyssoise. "I make a mean soup," she said. "It will tell you to fuck off if it gets really angry." She didn't laugh at this now, and he asked her what was wrong. "Nothing," she said. "I'm just sick of adding water. If I can't do it right, I want to deal with it as it is." He told her that it was okay, because it was hard to get it right. He went on to say that shabu was an art and not a science, and then he butchered Beckett's words about failure. "So you tried, so you failed. It doesn't matter. Fail better." "That's not how it goes," she said, which he said was his point exactly. She wanted to tell him it had been 9 months since that time they had decided. She wanted to tell him that her breasts swelled in false expectation just the other day, but at first she simply thought she had eaten too large an order of macaroni and cheese. But then later, when she lifted her cat and cradled him to her bosom for a moment, she imagined, and only for a moment did she imagine this, she imagined that he might suckle upon her. She quickly put him down on the floor, dropped him actually. He landed with a fat thud and shot her a dirty look. This was not the sort of thing she would mention to Thomas, or anyone for that matter. For one, it was tremendously weird, and it made her feel like one of those people other people might avoid standing near to on the subway. And for two, he might feel badly about the whole goddamned incident. And what good would that do now, to make someone she loved feel badly for an irreversible event? And for three, she was beginning to believe that we all experienced moments of confusion and inappropriate desire. And if we could hold on to these moments without hating ourselves, we'll come one step closer to beating that internal loneliness of life. This moment with our cat, disturbing as it might have been, was when it dawned on her, the 40 weeks, the 9 months. This was why she had once again become so fond of pineapple, grilled cheese. It was why she had eaten that entire plate of macaroni. This is why she kept crying on the phone to her sister every time that she called. "Eat avocado," her sister told her. "It's good for anxiety." "I have enough anxiety already, thank you," she replied. But she knew what she meant and started inhaling the fruit, or whatever the hell that pitted thing was. So much of life boils down to what we place in and what we remove from our anxious, bubbling, frightened cores. Bumbling, she meant, not bubbling. Hillary thought about this now as she ate her final slurp of vermicelli taken from the boiling pot before her. Thomas said he was feeling full, and so he offered her his last quail egg. She took it in her fingers, and he warned her to be careful because it might be hot, but it was only warm, and so she cupped it then inside her palms. She was always cold after shabu-shabu. Leaning back from the steam always made her shiver, like she was placed down in the world just that very day, smack dab in the middle of winter, wearing only a spring jacket. She put the egg to the tip of her nose and rolled it down to her lips. Again, he pulled his chair closer to his, and again he kissed her head. She slid the egg into her mouth and swallowed it, along with all the stones that seemed to have gathered there, like a cairn, or some other rock pile that marked a grieving, or kept a soul protected, inside her tightened throat. Thank you.